I'm about 6'2" tall, so you wouldn't think of me as being a particularly short person. But when I played for Canada, I was the shortest player on the team. In fact, Mark had said I'd done some work with the USOC, the U.S. Olympic Committee. I go out to work with the U.S. Women's Olympic team prior to the Seoul Olympics. If I were on that team today, the women's team, well, that would be a story in itself. But if I were on that team, I would be in the bottom half of the height chart, the bottom half. That's how much of a tall person's sport volleyball is. And so when I first got to the international level, the Olympic team level, the only time they would even let me play was when it was like 13-13, and we needed that extra dig, that extra point to win the match. It's like a closing pitcher. They bring him in to try and win the game. And I was the guy who'd be flying through the air, bouncing on the ground, rolling on the floor, doing whatever it took to physically get my arm underneath the ball before the ball hits the ground. And I've got scars to show for it, let me tell you. You know what I wish for everybody? Every single person in this audience? I wish that at some point in your life, somebody says something to you that sticks with you for life. How many of you have had that? And for me, it happened really, really early. I was going to my first volleyball clinic as a 13-year-old, and the gentleman who was teaching the clinic was the then defensive specialist of the Canadian National Olympic team. And I was brash enough to tell him that I wanted to play in the Olympics, and he said, well, then you need to know the mentality of a defensive player. He said, the approach you need to take is that the only ball you can't get is the one you don't go after. And that made so much sense to me. And that became who I was. I became a wild man. I started to go after everything. And when I think back on a career, and I got to play about 12 years at the elite, at the international, at the professional level, the things that define my career are not the ones that you might guess. It's not the trophies, it's not the championships, it's not the medals, and it's not the prize money. Actually, the prize money was really, really cool. But it's the times where I remember going after a ball and knowing in my head there's no way I can get to it. It was too far away, too close to the ground, moving too quickly. And you go after it anyways. It's that point in your mind where emotion tangibly overrides logic. And that defined my career. And guess what happens every once in a while? You get it. And I will remember every single one of those like there's a little Sports Center highlight reel going on in my head.